Now, when it comes to preparing for Ulduar, most guilds are doing similar things. You'll be making sure you've got the right composition that you want, you'll be making sure all of those people have got as close to tier 7 BIS as physically possible, you'll be researching tactics and looking at what's going to work for your guild, and maybe you've even been on the PTR and done some practice already. Now, all of those things are exactly the right things to do. It's what you should be doing, and it's impossible for me to put a video out telling you exactly for your guild what will be the best approach to week 1 Ulduar. Because if you're one of the guilds that have been running on the PTR, you may have your exact 25-man composition, and you've been practicing on the PTR on all the hard modes, and already know exactly how you're going to approach each boss. So for you, this video is probably worthless. I mean, for most people, it's probably worthless, but let's carry on anyway. So all I can really do is tell you what our guild approach is going to be, and our guild is what I would consider semi-hardcore. We take the game very seriously, we've got good players, but we do also have a lot of people with IRL responsibilities, such as children, real jobs, not like what I do, demanding wives and other things. So our raid time is normally a lot more limited than others, but saying that, we are going to obviously put a lot of hours into week 1 just to get a decent start. We're not particularly bothered if we get server first, although obviously that would be nice. But we're taking an approach which I think is just going to make all the hard modes more comfortable. And you may take some inspiration from this video and think, actually, yeah, that's what we should do as well. Because the hard modes are very difficult. We've killed pretty much all hard mode 10-mans and attempted or killed 25-man hard modes. An Iron Council 25-man hard mode, I can tell you, if you haven't attempted it on the PTR, it's a very difficult fight. And actually, there does seem to be a bit of RNG involved as well. So you could absolutely do a perfect pull, everything's going great, and you could wipe just to a bit of bad luck towards the end when you're about to nuke Steelbreaker. So on the basis this is absolutely a hard mode that you're going to want to do, we think that going into it with as much gear as physically possible is the way to go. We don't plan on doing any hard mode bosses before Iron Council, and the hard modes that we obviously are planning on doing is Iron Council, all 4 keepers, Vezax, and Yogg with 1 light. We'll be spending a large amount of time on Yogg, 0 lights obviously, but I'm just having to be realistic and think, well, if we don't manage to get 0 lights done week 1, then we'll just do it with 1 light, because if you've done all the other hard modes, 1 light shouldn't be a problem. So there's 2 options with the approach that we're going to take. On launch night, the raid opens, you go straight in, you clear all the normal bosses to begin with, so that's all the way up to Cologan and Aurea, without actually killing Iron Council, but obviously making sure that you do Flame Leviathan, preferably with 2 towers. So you can kill Cologan and Aurea without actually killing Iron Council, and obviously the reason we don't want to kill Iron Council just yet, because is you want to do it on hard mode so you can get all the other hard mode keepers done, if you think you're capable of doing them in week 1, obviously that is. If not, it maybe doesn't really matter too much to you, but you want to kill Iron Council, all 4 keepers, to be able to complete the quest to summon Algalon. So when you go in, I would recommend doing Flame Leviathan with 2 towers, because with 2 towers, it's not that much more difficult. You will have to do a shutdown, maybe even 2 shutdowns to be safe. That'll be covered in a guide, coming very, very soon. Probably this weekend. You're going to want to do Ignis and Razor Scale both on normal, and XT on normal. If you think you can do XT on hard mode, then obviously go for it. But yeah, we're just doing XT normal. So once we're at the point where Aurea's dead, this is where we've actually made 4 different 10-man groups and organised splits. Now, depending on how many people you've got in your guild, you may be able to do this, you may not be able to do this. But at the very least, if you've got a 25-man group, you'll be able to split into at least 2 groups and then smash through 10-man. So exactly what we're going to do is what I've just said. So all the normal bosses on 25, we're then going to split up into 4 different 10-man groups, funneling mains gear through using socials and ults in those raids as well. And directly after those normal bosses die, we'll stay on for 3 to 4 hours, however long it takes really, to get all 10-man hard modes done in these groups. The following day, there'll be another couple of 10-man groups, again, utilising ults from the people that was there in the evening before to continue to funnel people that are going to be in the 25-man even more loot. So now, technically, we've arrived at night 2, but we've arrived at night 2, hopefully with a bit of luck, getting some 245 weapons from 10-man, maybe some decent trinkets, but definitely would have got plenty of upgrades. We may have even completed 2-piece sets for people, 4 sets for people. But all of this gear, plus the normal bosses we already killed on the night of launch, means we should have a lot more of a comfortable time on Iron Council. And remember, Hodir is a complete DPS check, and while you can absolutely do it in just full tier 7 bis, if your guild hasn't been that lucky where you've got pretty much everyone in full tier 7 bis, you may struggle. You get 2 minutes to kill that boss, so actually going in 10-man first and utilising as many drops as possible is just going to make these hard modes not feel like you're banging your head against a wall. And that's exactly what we're trying to avoid. We don't want to go in, be demoralised because we've wiped for 3 hours, whatever, on Iron Council before it dies, and then we're like, great, raid night's over. We'd rather plough through bosses, get as much loot as possible, so then when we get to those hard modes, yes, we probably won't be server first because people will go and do hard mode Iron Council before us, they'll do hard mode Thorin before us, but we're hoping on the second night we can make up for it a bit with all the extra gear that we've got, and hopefully the speed that it will enable us to actually kill things like Iron Council and Hodir that little bit quicker. Like I said at the start, if your guild plans on going for server first, Yogg, Zero, and you've got everything planned out already because you've practiced it to death on the PTR, this just simply don't apply to you. But there's many guilds, probably like ours, where we'd consider ourselves fairly average. We want to compete and we want to do well, but our time is just a lot more limited than being able to sit on PTR for 12 hours a day when it's up. And there's quite a few noticeable differences from private servers. So for anyone who knows me or has watched me for any length of time, you know I'm an ex-private server player, as is most of our guild. I genuinely don't think I could name one person in our guild that doesn't or hasn't played on Warmane or Whitemane. So we know Raph. I know this was a quick video, but I just wanted it to be a bit of food for thought here, because you might be a little bit overwhelmed looking at 25-man hard modes, 25 normal, 10 hard modes, 10 normal, the amount of loot that you can get bombarded with, and trying to look at a reasonable way to actually approach it. And I genuinely think for most guilds, I'd say 95% of guilds out there, I would recommend 10-man and doing some 10-man hard modes to get the 2, 4, 5 weapons. That's huge, you know, and getting tier for your tanks and stuff like that. You know, making sure the gear's going in the right place obviously is very important, but just getting all the upgrades from a full 10-man clear or 2 is just going to make your 25-man hard mode progression experience feel a lot more comfortable. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, like and subscribe. See you on the next one.